So what did y'all want to argue about?
It's not necessarily like argue. It's just I feel like it's a healthy discussion.
So there was a common media platform. I had a discussion regarding.
I love how you danced around.
The Griffeys. I only did that out of respect to you because
No, that shit. No, I'm glad you did that.
That's right.
Because I would have to jump in like,
because them. That's why.
Like the Griffey line. I guess they're talking about the Trainer SC, right? And then the one guy was like, "Well, the Griffey line is the Griffey Air Max 1 is the top 20 shoe in his opinion, right, of all time in Nike." But they were saying like the Bo Jackson line can rival the Griffey line, and I posted that in the chat and I said, "Your name's not even on your shoe." In a discussion, and then Gene said that he disagreed with that and he can share his sentiments now.
He gave permission to talk. Right. And now.
I hear what you were saying in terms of like if your name's not attached to the shoe, but I just feel like with Nike, like there's so many shoes that came out that people are synonymous for wearing that their names aren't even attached to those shoes. But yet when we go back as enthusiasts, as sneakerheads, as, you know, into the culture, we attach them with that shoe.
He ain't lying.
You brought up like some of the early shoes that Penny was wearing that we associate with Penny Hardaway as almost being part of the Penny line, even though it's technically not part of the signature Penny line. Do I think it's messed up that Bo Jackson's name isn't attached to the Air Trainer 1, the SE Trainer? Of course I do, because I feel like when we look at those shoes, there's only one person that we think about. We think about Bo Jackson, right? My argument also was, as much as I agree, I do think the Griffey Max 1, I feel like it's beyond top 20. I think it's like probably maybe like top 12, 13 all
silhouettes?
Time. Yeah, easily.
No.
Nike silhouette.
Yeah.
Nike's.
Yeah, in terms of, easily top 12, top 13.
No, I'm not arguing.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of other silhouettes.
What I think is messed up is, and that's what I was saying is like in terms of like the lifespan that the Griffey line has, is most people only know about the Griffey Max 1. I think the Griffey Max 2 is equally just as dope. If not, again, that's another one where I'm like, that goes within my top 12, 13 in terms of Nike silhouettes that ever released. Like the Griffey Max 2 looks crazy. But once we get out of that, it's like, does anybody know anything? The Griffey Max 3. Then you had, what was that? Like, was that in 2006, 2007? They put the 360, they did the Griffey Max 360s. And it brought a little bit of life back to the Griffey line, but it just didn't catch on like how it could have caught on. So I just feel like, again, yeah, it's messed up that maybe Bo Jackson's name isn't attached to the shoes that we know him for wearing. But to say that just because his name isn't on the shoe, he can't be in that discussion, I just think it's crazy.
When we talk about lines, we talk about somebody who has a signature shoe, multiple releases underneath that line. Pippen has a line. Penny has a line. Bron, Kobe, Jordan, right? If I was to give him a shoe and you tell me who's it belong to, he probably can look at a Griffey from the logo to the detail and say that. If you gave him a Trainer SC and said whose shoe this is, outside, if he didn't know the culture, he probably wouldn't be able to tell you because it does not have a name or a logo attached to it. Now, Griffey versus a Trainer SC, that's a conversation to be had. But far as line for line, I personally say if you don't have your own shoe or your own name on that, we attach it to that. The people of the culture, it's like an unofficial signature shoe, right? So, but to me, as far as we're gonna compare the Penny versus the, like if we going line for line, you gotta be able to have 1, 2, 3. You know what I'm saying? Like shoes with your name on it that you sold and pushed yourself. So to me, that is why I do agree Nike did him Bo by not doing that, but we can't go back in history and rewrite it
for sure.
So with that being said, your name ain't on your shoe, which is to me why he can't have that line versus line conversation. Turner SC versus Griffey, yes, but for a line, and yes, synonymous. Like I told him, we had to beg Jordan brand for 25 years to acknowledge their airship. Yeah, he wore that shoe before the Jordan 1.
Which they acknowledged, and then they flipped the script.
Right.
They went back like it didn't exist.
But guess what? If you ask anybody on the street, what's the first Jordan, they're going to say the 1, not the ship.
True.
They did it like Debo. They're like, what change?
So to me, that's why I'm saying he can't have that conversation is because that. And to be honest with you, take it a step further. There was nobody else who could have sold a baseball shoe after Griffey, before and after. No one else has. No one has made those, whether it be athlete, Nike designer, no one. He's the only one that has successfully made and sold a dope baseball shoe.
Yes.
Bo Jackson had that. We talking about the dopest football trainer shoes. The Hirachi trainer might have something to say, and Deion Line may be a notch above his.
But I know this is a debate. I mean, first of all, this is the most cordial fucking debate I've ever seen. But
You two gonna fuck or fight?
But no, I was expecting haymakers, and I'm like, y'all shook hands.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Fuck you.
I mean, Kobe and Brian going at it is not the same way as Steven Jackson and Brian
motherfucker.
Going but no, not Steven Jackson, Lance Stevenson and Brian going at it. But
first of all, I would say this: if I was going into an actual courthouse to win an argument, he has it. But if I was going through a court of public opinion, definitely understand where you're coming from, because I mean, y'all both make compelling arguments, to be honest. And it's funny that you say that about, cause like what you just said. I guess I wanted to respond to, because like you right, Deion, and then let's not forget Michael Vick, right? But I think I don't know. Like I'm always, and I don't know if it's because I tend to lean towards history, and I love history or whatever, because you don't get to a Deion or a Vick without a Bo, right? And because Bo, for the longest time, he was the second biggest athlete, right, that they had. And his ability to play damn near every sport, that's another thing that I think is lost when we talk about Bo Jackson.
He ain't lying.
That motherfucker was a freak athlete. Like, the dude could play baseball. Like, anybody that can play professional baseball and football, like, you only seen two people really do that, and that's Deion and Bo. And Bo was the first, right? So there's something about being the first to me that I always acknowledge, because you pretty much laid the groundwork. And so, yeah, things should get better, because, when you're the first, they don't have all the things, you know what I'm saying? Because they're still trying to figure it out, right? So when you get to the second, third, fourth, fifth, they kind of worked out the kinks. It's almost like, okay, we all got kids, right? Well, all of us got one. So, I mean, I might not be able to relate. But when you talk to people with multiple kids, when they had a second, like the first child always says, I get treated differently than the second and third child.
Yeah,
because as a parent, you've grown. You know what I'm saying? So when you get to your third child, okay, you know what it is. Like when you're a first time parent, you frantic. You know what I'm saying? As soon as your kid call, we're going to emergency. Like, you know what I'm saying? And like now it's like, all right, go sleep, take some NyQuil, you got it, you'll be all right. And so, and that's why, like, whenever we talk about now versus back in the day, like I always give the nod to the originals, because you had to come in and lay the groundwork for everybody else to kind of build off of. And so, because even now, like in terms of like music, right? Like people talk about greatest artists. Of course, we'll talk about Michael Jackson. You got people already writing off Michael Jackson, which is crazy. But I had somebody was doing a debate like Chris Brown would kill Michael Jackson. I'm like, there would be no Chris Brown without Michael Jackson. No, even Chris Brown would say that.
Said that.
Yes,
that is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Chris Brown would even tell you that. However, when we had these conversations, like, let's not forget there was a James Brown that when nobody exists without him. Like, I mean, hip hop, like he's the most sampled person in history. He was like a one of one. He was like the one of his kind. Like he was unique in that way. Like dude got a song where he just says please. You know what I'm saying? But you get it if you listen to the song. You're like, if you ever been through heartbreak, like you know exactly what he's singing in that song without him having to say it, That's why they call him the Godfather of Soul, because it wasn't so much about the lyrics, it was about the feeling. And so that's why I said, y'all arguments, because I felt what you said. Like you're using, I guess, the music analogy, you had the lyrics, but you had the soul. You know what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying as far as the Pippen, the up-tempos. When we think of up-tempos, we think of Pippen, right? Even though that wasn't technically his shoe.
It's not his shoe, but if you go up and down the street, you show that shoe to somebody, first thing people go, oh, that's a Scottie Pippen. It's like, nah, it's not right. The Scottie
not
Pippen.
Really, but yeah, okay, fine. But Guru,
but isn't that the crazy part about just in terms of like Nike in general is you have these silhouettes that they don't have names attached to them, and it's almost like those people that are responsible for those silhouettes being what they are now almost get lost in the shuffle.
If I was his agent back then, but I would after that first shoe popped, I said we need our own shoe.
I
You
agree.
should definitely.
But see, that's the thing though, because nowadays that probably would have happened, right? Because of the whole signature shoe now, because signature shoes have become.
Yeah, but the thing is,
I feel like they were signing more people then than they do now. But even then, yes, and also too, what you're saying, yes, people do like the foundation, so coming after you should be easier.
Yeah.
But we also seen people come after Penny and after Pippen and after Gary Payton, and their shoes having the Paul Georges and Devin Bookers and everybody else. So there's people who came after them whose shoe wasn't that great either, which is why they probably sell more retro shoes outside of Bron than they do of the current signature athletes.
He ain't lying.
Yeah,
No, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think that's it can go both ways too, as far as.
And then the other part is, especially when you think about a cross training shoe, they had the McEnroe that had his name attached to it.
Yeah,
so it's like there was the precedent that was set to where you could have had a cross training shoe with Bo Jackson's name on it.